Yo, Descendants, Augiesaint here, and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I want to talk to you guys about the Perforator. This thing is absolutely crazy. It is a really good mobbing weapon, and it's pretty good for elite killing as well. I would say it's probably the strongest elite killer right now. It can 2 to 3 tap the elites in the Void Erosion level 20, and those guys have about 20 million HP, and we're able to 2-3 tap them. So that's a lot of damage. Now, I have actually taken this into a bunch of Colossus fights, and we can't really one-phase anything. It has the damage, but it deals the damage in kind of like a weird way, where like all the explosions have to hit and the weak point hits, and then it's kind of weird to use it for bossing, so I would not recommend it for bossing. However, I could highly recommend it for mobbing, as it is, like I say, just a really good elite killer. We have tried it on Swamp Walker and Tony and everybody, and we just don't have success with one-phasing because it doesn't deal the damage fast enough. Like, it does the big initial hit, and then that kind of almost pushes it to immunity without knocking it down, and then the little hits come down too slow, so it just doesn't do its damage fast enough. Otherwise, if we could do its damage fast enough, we could actually use it as a bossing weapon, but for now, we're going to use it as an elite killing mobbing weapon, obviously with our Frost Queen Hailey in the background. As you guys can see, she is just the best gun platform right now, and I showcase her in pretty much every single gun build because she's just so good with all the guns. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the Perforator. We're going to start out like everything with the rolls. We have firearm attack on the top roll, we have firearm crit hit damage on the second roll, and then we have the double rounds per magazine on the other 2 rolls. This is for the weapon core system, so once you get those are honestly the best ones that I feel like you could get. You could switch out the rounds per magazine for fire rate, but when you're using the Perforator, it has like really bad accuracy, or it's got like a pretty strong kick, and every time you shoot, and then like the reticle will go really big, you have to shoot again, and then if you have a little bit slower fire rate and you like pace your shots a lot better, that's going to just feel better. And having so many more extra rounds means you don't have to reload as often, so technically it's more DPS anyway, so that's why I don't like to run with fire rate on those. If you want to, you can go ahead and switch to fire rate. We are running both rounds per magazine, puts us with a solid 20 magazine, and then obviously the crit damage and the firearm attack just to go do some crazy amounts of damage, because we'll be close to 100% crit rate because of Hailey. And if we move down to the actual weapon rolls, the only reason I have rounds per magazine and Colossus on this is because I was actually using this for a stat stick for Hailey, and I still do from time to time. So that's why I want the Colossus there, and I want the rounds per magazine. Those do affect the Zenith, however the weapon cores do not affect the Zenith, so I don't have to go ahead and change the weapon cores to like the bonus Colossus, because the weapon core stuff does not affect the Zenith. However, I do keep my rounds per mag and Colossus on there, so those are 2 rolls you could drop out if you really wanted to min-max this solely just for mobbing and not using it for Hailey like a stat stick at all. You can drop the rounds per magazine, maybe pick up crit hit chance, and you can also drop the Colossus and then maybe pick up weak point, or even an element of your choice, preferably maybe electric, because electric, you know, does give the enemies a little bit of a debuff. So those are rolls. Now let's go in and have a look at the mods. Now there is quite a few mods that you can change around here. However, this is the comfiest version we have actually landed on, and obviously I will be using this mainly with Hailey. So I have built this around Hailey. However, I would pretty much build it very similar if I was going to use it on somebody else. Maybe I'd put in like edging shot just to get a little bit more crit rate if we're going to use it on a different Descendant that doesn't have much crit rate. But honestly, when I'm playing guns and like gun builds, I'm playing either Hailey or Enzo, and both of them have like crazy crit boosting modifiers anyway. So that's why we have built it this way. So first up, we're obviously going with our firearm attack, rifle reinforcement, action reaction. And then we have fire hit up as well, just for a bit of smoothness with the shots overall. And then we are going to focus on our crit mods, better concentration, better insight for crit rate and crit damage. And then we also have concentration priority over there for firearm crit damage. So this does give you a negative reload time modifier. So it's a little bit annoying, and it's nowhere near as good as general rounds. General rounds gives you that massive, I think it's like 120 firearm crit damage. However, it is still a pretty substantial amount of crit damage. And since we'll be critting so much, you definitely want to go ahead and pick up concentration priority. And then we have concentrate support ammo for just some more bullets and firearm crit hit damage, as well as expand or weapon charge. Again, just getting some more bullets in the magazine. And then this one of, I would say this one is like the optional mod. You can really play around with this and change this to whatever you feel like you need. We do have reload time modifier there because there's really nothing much else to put here. I was playing around with using overwhelm, especially when we're doing void erosion level 20. Because they are actually weak to the Perforator's actual, what's it called, crush, I believe it is, like the archetype damage of the Perforator. They are actually weak to that. So if you really wanted to, you could go ahead and play with overwhelm over the reload focus, or you could even use weak point sight or have aiming but then you just have to make sure you're really going for those weak points, which is the headshots, because if you're not getting those, then you'll be pretty much have a dead mod there. So just for the overall comfiness, I think reload focus is probably going to be your best friend, or you could even go for payout. This is another option as well when landing a weak point attack. So a headshot, ammo is not consumed for 3 seconds, and this one's cooldown is only 15 seconds, so pretty good. You can have this up quite often. That is my gripe with Overwhelm. Overwhelm is very strong and very powerful. Like each shot you get there, it's going to boost your weak point damage as well as your affinity boost by quite a lot, stacking up to 10. But this only lasts for 5 seconds. So as soon as you hit your first weak point shot, the stack will, be at 1 stack, and it's going to, every time you hit again, it's going to stack and build up during that time limit. You have 5 seconds to try and get the 10 stacks, and you won't even be able to get out the 10 shots within the 5-second duration that you get. And then it has a 20-second cooldown, and if you miss at all, then you lose your advantage stack. So pretty much if you shoot twice and on the third one you miss, then it's just gone, and that's pretty much over then. So this mod is really good, but at the same time it's really bad. I just don't think it's very good for the Perforator, because of how slow it fires and how quickly you need to build this up for it to be really valuable for you to hit those 10 stacks within the 5 seconds. I think this is better used on SMGs, maybe assault rifles. So maybe something like the Excava or the Python or the Thundercare, something like that with a much higher fire rate, so you can actually go ahead and proc that pretty quickly. However, on the Perforator, it just doesn't feel that great to me overall. So that's why we have come with this. And I think this is the best, comfiest setup we could get. And as you can see, when we're doing the void erosions, we're 2-3 shotting the elites. The mobs are dying super fast. We can really hit the boss hard at the end. I think 1 hit, and we actually got the boss down to half health, because we got a really solid crit hit on the headshot. So this thing just does a lot of damage. And then lastly, make sure you are running an elemental mod. It's very important to always match the element to your enemy's weakness. And like I have said in quite a few of my videos, I like to have one slot that is my element slot. So for now, you can see I have an X on there, I have a triangle, and I have the M slot, because that's where we go ahead and place all our different elements. So you want to try and save yourself or reserve yourself a slot. You could even just not level this all the way up. I believe if you level this up to level 4, you can put it in there without needing to actually catalyze. Yeah, we actually got 75, so we've got 5 extra spaces over there. So we can drop this down to level 4, and you can do that on all the other elements as well. So if you don't feel like catalyzing so many times on one spot, just leave one socket open. So just leave this as like this one over here, so it doesnit's have any polarity, and you can just put level 4 elemental mods in there. It's still going to be really good, because this takes 30%, or I think it will take half of that, so probably 15% if it's a lower level mod of your firearm attack, and then turns it into the element. And in the case of our Perforator, you can see that we have 169,000 firearm attack, and now that actually converts over to 50,000 electrical attack. So if you're half of that, you'll get 25k, which is still a massive amount of an extra attribute there that's going to do its own damage. It can crit as well, so it's going to take effect of your crit multi and everything like that. That's why it's just so really good to actually get yourself a proper element on the weapon, and change that out according to whatever you are fighting. And then lastly as well, don't forget about your inversion reinforcements. I mention this in every video, so we're just going to skim over it real quick. Make sure you're picking up one of these rounds. Also, again, match it to the weakness you're fighting. For example, using electric rounds for void erosion level 20, since they are weak to electric. So just make sure you have any one of these attributes, and then also having all of them unlocked at the same time will unlock this passive. So really, really strong, because that will give you the attribute resistance negative on all enemies you shoot. And since you're going to be shooting, because you are playing a gun build with the Perforator, obviously, that's really, really strong. And then our Hailey build, we're just running the Polar Knight with the AoE Dream that we have showcased in a previous video. You want to go and watch and see the whole breakdown of that. So really strongly Perforator and really fun. It's actually one of my favorite weapons. I'm going to do a tier list pretty soon after we've got through all the weapon cores. Yesterday we did the Albion. Tomorrow I'm probably going to do the Volta video. I think we finally finished playing on with that. So tomorrow be on the lookout for the Volta. We're going to get those all done. And then once we're done, I'm going to make a tier list. So you should totally subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all these new videos coming out. And then after we finished all the weapon cores and weapons for now, we're going to hop into the updated Descendant builds. So thank you guys so much for being here at the channel and watching the video. If you liked it, please drop a like and sub to the channel. It helps me out so much. And I'll catch you beautiful people in the next video, as well as the live streams. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the